It's been amazing how this keeps growing. And we are now live on Facebook. And so I want to invite everybody. I see we've got about 300 people in our webinar room. We've got a great show planned for you tonight. And so I want to welcome our panelists. I want to welcome all our attendees. I want to welcome all of you watching on Facebook. And I also want to welcome those of you who are going to be watching the replay. What we're discovering is that about thousands and thousands of people are now watching the replays of this show. I want to thank Jay Mayer, who is our sponsor of tonight's show. It's really wonderful to have you with us. And so thank you, Jay, for your support. We're going to be hearing from Jay a little bit later today. And we want to invite everybody to do two things. Those of you in the webinar room, share this on Facebook. We'll give you the link. You can find it under Facebook, Love Coach Academy page. So please do share it. And also tell us where you're coming from. So for example, Deborah Haviland from Sarasota, Florida. We always enjoy seeing where people are coming from. It's really fun. And so with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my producing partner, Deborah Giusti.
Thank you so much, and so great to have you. What extraordinary times. And we're so happy to have you with us. This is going to be another amazing show with amazing keynote speakers, fabulous musicians, comedians, and wisdom keepers sharing their amazing jewels of wisdom. We started this show right during the lockdown, and we found that it's been a bright light for so many thousands of people, especially people that might be alone, confused at what's going on, and really wanting to understand what the positive outcome of all this can be. And we do acknowledge the pain and the difficulty that a lot of people are going through at this time. But with these shows, we're a stand that we're also going through a lot of personal transformation and transformation in our world. And even with the tragic death of George Floyd last week, which has hit a strong emotional chord in the heart of the nation, it's truly amazing that so many people are standing up and being a voice for the healing that needs to happen now to create change in our society and change in our world. And we see this as a healing crisis where things keep coming up to the surface to be identified and healed. And this show is a stand for the healing and transformation that's possible now. So thank you so much for joining us. Continue to invite your friends, and I'm going to put a link in the chat room of the Zoom room where they can join right now. And actually, this is our 9th show, and we want to thank our broadcast partners who assist us in getting this show out to thousands of people. And that's Awake TV, also New Realities TV with Alan Steinfeld, and also Unify. So thank you so much for helping us. And this show, again, is going to be another amazing show. We're going to have Marianne Williamson with us shortly. We will have Lynn Twist, Satyam and Suzanne Raja. We're also going to have amazing musicians like Tina Malia, Fantuzzi, Sister Stone, Daniel Ballone, and we're also going to have a video of Blaine Lyon. And we will also have ventriloquist Terry Fator, who was the winner of America's Got Talent. And you can stick around after the show because we're going to have community connections where you can actually get online and do a 1-minute share of whatever your heart is inspired to share about the times or about the show that we're on. And we fund the production of the show through GoFundMe. We take the money, we use some of the money to do broadcasts for future broadcasts, and then we share it with nonprofit organizations. And this time we have 2 special people in our community that we want to help. So for now, I want to bring on our other partner, Ken Kaufman of New Living Expo, who's going to share a little bit more about the GoFundMe. Hi, Ken.
Hi, thank you everybody. Welcome for another Saturday Night Live. It just keeps going. We just keep doing it because you guys keep wanting it, so we keep doing it. We've got a couple of special people tonight that are going to be part of our GoFundMe campaign. They're hurting quite a bit with healing of cancer, so I'll talk a little bit about that more of the mid-show. And I want to remind everybody that this new paradigm of GoFundMe campaign that we're doing with our show is really supporting a lot of organizations and individuals like we're doing tonight. We've done Fantuzzi back in early April. So we need to keep that going. And so we ask you for your support, because what you give us, we're giving back to the community. So know that your money is being well spent. And GoFundMe, if you want to find it, if you go to GoFundMe.com, you'll look under Global Peace Tribe, and you'll find our link there. We also have some bonuses for you if you donate over a certain amount, $77. You'll have those perks mentioned to you more at mid-show. And basically, that's it. I just want to let everybody know that these world demonstrations that we're experiencing, all of us, and some of us are probably walking like Fantuzzi did today, are such a calling for what we're at today and what we need to do, voicing those opinions. And number one thing we can do with our voice is to vote. So I recommend, please vote. Whatever you've never done it before, do it now, register. Let's all vote as much as we can and tell everybody we know. Let's go voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny. And speaking of voting, we're going to have Marianne Williamson with us in just a moment. And that's going to be pretty special. I've had the honor of working with her this week and watching her. She's been interviewing progressive candidates. They're all remarkable. So Marianne's going to be here in a moment, but just before then, we always like to start off with great music. We're really happy to bring back Sister Stone. And thank you, Sister Stone, for being with us.
Thank you. Such an honor to be here with so many beautiful people, beloveds. And I just wanted to share a few words and then share a song about water. I think having a water prayer in any kind of event or ceremony is a great way to begin. And, on this topic of thinking globally and acting locally, I wanted to just share a bit about my experiences in my global understanding and living in third world countries and traveling and living with different indigenous communities around the world. And just two of the main takeaways that I really have learned from that experience is humility and resilience. And I feel that those two things are key right now in what we're faced with. Humility being to humble to ourselves, humble to the greater mystery of life, to the lessons that we're needing to learn about ourselves. When we come up against conflict, that we choose humility. And in humility, so much of what I've learned from living on the land and with indigenous communities and peoples is that they're humble. They come with this reverence that life is so much more powerful and the earth is so much more powerful than than we can even try to imagine. And so when we come with that respect and humility and reverence, we're coming with that beauty and that understanding that we're part of a greater interconnected purpose. And with resilience, so many of these peoples live with so little. And, getting used to living in a lifestyle where, I'm making coconut milk from scratch or like chopping coconuts or, I have to grow my own food to eat and walk, far to get water and all of these things, like rewiring our brains for convenience, and how that could be it's an incredibly powerful experience to work hard for those things that we take for granted. And I think on a local level, the way this is important is in these crazy times that we're in, the more that we can actually come back to that place of being willing to expand our capacities for what we're able to handle and do, and knowing that no matter what, we're going to be okay, and we might have to work a little bit harder, but it's important to stay resilient and focused on that reconnection to growing food, water, all of these basic things, and how can we really go back to that and learn to live with less, because that will help us to be more resilient. Thank you. So hi, I'm Sister Stone. Again, grateful to be here. Follow me, Sister Stone Music, and I'm going to share a water song, water prayer with you all. And it's super funky and groovy, so I hope you're ready to dance. Hey, hey, ah, hey, you like grows, you that flows, how you are in me, how you are in all living things. Teach me how to nourish, how you let life flourish, how you're deep and how you're vast, how you move so slow and fast, how you find your way into the smallest, darkest place. Teach me how to pray, how to move like you with grace. Water is life, whoa. Water is life. Water is life, whoa. Water is life. Yo. I watch you water in the way that you move. So pure, so clean, it's you, it's so true. Ooh, I come to you every day on my knees, praying to you, asking you to show me how to be a life giver, flow like your river. It's you who I owe my life to. Nothing in this world compares to your divinity, highest order of love, holy source of everything. I pray about the people who are thirsty, and rage about the people who are greedy. I pray about the people who are thirsty, and rage about the people who are greedy. Water is life, whoa. Water is life. Water is life, whoa. Water is life. You who is me, have mercy, mercy, for the ways I've mistreated you, for the ways I have depleted you, for forgetting you're holy. You bring me to be lowly. Teach me how to wait till the tide follows its fate. How you never leave, only change your stay. Holding you the memory of all the energy that came before and still be pure, to wash away what does not remain. Water is life, whoa. Water is life. Water is life, whoa. Water is life. Thank you. Thank you so much. Water is the source of everything. How can we continue to pray to water? This is alive. Look at it. Talk to it. Think it. We are water. Let's pray to the waters in us and in our bodies. Thank you. Sister Stone Music. Please follow me on Instagram. Listen to my EP. Grateful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sister Stone. And she'll be back with another song a little bit later on. We're so honored that Marianne Williamson has come back to be with us again. And in this week that America is going through all that it's going through, there's no one I would rather have leading our prayer for peace and talking to us about what's going on. Marianne, for those of you who might not know her, there might be 2 or 3 out of the thousands watching who don't know. She's a best-selling author and political activist and spiritual thought leader. And for over 3 decades, she's been a leader in spiritual and religious progressive circles. She's written 14 books, including A Return to Love. She founded Project Angel Food way back in 1989. It was meaningful to me. I made a movie in 1989 called Men in Love, which was all about the AIDS crisis. And at the same time, she founded Project Angel Food. She's a remarkable woman who co-founded the Peace Alliance and ran for president. And I know she was our choice for president. And I was so proud of her when she was up there with all the other candidates. And she was the most searched person on Google for, I think it was 2 or 3 days after she first spoke. And so the last thing I'll say is I've had the pleasure of working with her this week, watching her. And she's been interviewing these extraordinary progressive candidates that are true unsung heroes. So thank you, Marianne, for being with us.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you. I feel very fed. I'm a big Sister Stone fan now. I'll tell you, not only the music, but also the things that you shared about resilience and humility. That was really beautiful and profound. And yes, I will check you out on Instagram. And of course, what Andrew said before that was also very profound. So I feel like I'm here tonight with friends, both old friends and new friends. And listening to Sister Stone was particularly inspiring because I feel my heart is very filled today. At the risk of sounding corny, I'm very proud of my fellow Americans today. And many of those thousands and thousands of people who are forming those peaceful protests all over this country are, in fact, what I felt watching Sister Stone, a flowering of possibility in America today, much like Andrew was talking about. And what's happening clearly is that flowering is meeting up with resistance from what is essentially a dying order. And I was so moved today because things have happened so quickly. We've moved past what began as a very righteous, very important, very necessary movement on the part of the conscience of America in response to what is unfortunately a well-established pattern of the execution of unarmed Black men. And that's how this began. It obviously is bigger than George Floyd. It's because it has to do with every person who has received unjust treatment. And in cases such as his, Breonna Taylor's, et cetera, even murderous treatment on the part of the criminal justice system in the United States. And I think also so many of the people who are protesting at this point recognize the underlying array of injustices, both economic injustice, educational injustice, environmental injustice, as well as criminal injustice that is bigger even than any one people. It has to do with the vast majority of American people who have been turned into a kind of economic serfdom in favor of what has become a corporate tyranny and corporate aristocracy in this country. It's actually the most American thing in the world that people are standing up to it. But what's so important is that the vast, vast, vast majority of people are standing up in very peaceful ways. Yes, at the beginning, there was looting, there was rioting in ways that no one who represents this new flowering would support. But a lot of that has sort of flushed out now, and we're seeing really what America's about. This must be held in prayer because it's still a very fragile moment. And I'm in Washington, D.C. Many of you might know what happened with the president having brought out National Guard. But really, this is a time to watch the news. Sometimes people say, don't watch the news too much. Right now, this is a good time to know exactly what's going on. As Sister Stone was talking about her Instagram, I hope that you will also check out mine, plus my Twitter right now, where I really put up a lot of articles. And the reason I mention this particularly is because our Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, in opposition to the desires of the president, declared that the National Guard who were there and are here in Washington, D.C. And remember that the mayor of Washington doesn't want them here at all. They are here, but Mark Esper, Secretary of Defense, in opposition to the president's desire, has declared that they would not have ammunition. And I can tell you, I was around the streets of Washington, D.C. today. The feeling of National Guard standing there, but you know they don't have ammunition, is very different than if those guys were standing there with big guns and ammunition. This is extremely important. This is the struggle between the forces of real life and peace and harmony, which are the core of all human beings, but are so striving. You know, you can see them so beautiful in America today. And I think that the multicultural, multi-ethnic, multiracial, multisexual flowering that you see in these protests. You see white people, you see Black people, you see brown people, you see men, you see women, you see trans, you see whatever, and that the fluidity. You see different cultures, you see different religions, and so many of us, it makes our hearts sing. We recognize the real what Lincoln would call a new birth of freedom, and a movement towards the the magnificent actualization of what's possible in this country. But we're not naive either, because what is happening, and it was so clearly represented the other day, I had been at that protest in Washington, D.C., and then the president, of course, when he decided to come out of the White House to go over across Lafayette Park, walking with all those white men. I mean, it was there for all to see. One, old world meets young world. Old world meets new world. And today it's peaceful, but it hasn't been completely. And the reason I'm so proud of my fellow Americans today is because given the videos that we've all seen, the instances that we know have occurred of police brutality in the midst of what's happening, all these people being brutalized who were there to protest police brutality, the fact that people were peaceful at those protests today. And I believe that our community deserves credit here. I believe that our community, so many of the people who speak at these gatherings on Saturday night, some of my colleagues, as well as some of the people I don't know, but are part of this larger community, Ken, Deborah, all of you who have brought these people together, we have been mainstreaming a message of greater love, peace, and harmony for many years. And I look at some of these young people who are at these protests, who are standing on peace or standing on radical truth-telling. They're not pussyfooting around anything. They're standing on radical truth telling, but they're also standing on peace. They're our children. They're our children. They are the children of many people who have read the kinds of books and have been taught the kind of lessons that many of us in our community have spoken about, that Andrew was speaking about so profoundly. And an idea is stronger when it's shared. And that's what's happening now. There's a field of consciousness in resonance. It's being formed. And I think events like what we're doing here tonight is an example. Once again, not naive, not unaware of the kind of resistance that an old world wishes to put up. As Scott was mentioning, I'm leading a Progressive Candidate Summit. I hope all of you will check that out on my own social media pages, as well as progressivecandidatesummit.com, because we cannot leave electoral politics out of this change. A lot of these horrors emerge and are entrenched within public policy. And until we change those public policies, no fundamental transformation will occur. So I am grateful and honored to be here. And my heart is filled both by what I heard from Sister Stone. My heart is filled from what I heard by what I heard from Andrew. We will continue to sing to each other. We will continue to be with each other. We will continue, as Andrew said, at times to cry together. America is going through a great awakening, and it hurts. Because psychic pain is just like physical pain. It's there for a reason. It means something is wrong. And when you have a broken arm, the brain registers pain because you need to reset the bone. And psychic pain, emotional pain, psychological pain is there because we need to reset our consciousness, reset our thoughts. And America is reaping what we have sown in many ways. The pain of the earth and how we've treated the earth. The pain of the animals and how we've treated the animals, and the pain of how we have treated each other. So we are now feeling that pain, and the issue is let's feel it as adults, because what adults do is we learn from our pain. We ask the lesson of our pain, and we are willing to change in the only ways that will dissolve the pain. We're waking up together. It's the 11th hour, but it's not midnight yet. As Andrew said, this is a moment of urgency. Every word feels so important. Every song feels so meaningful. Every download that people are receiving, that we're sharing with each other. This is as profound a time, I think, as not only has ever existed in our country, but given the power of this country, one of the most profound times, period, and one of the most profound points on the earth. I think there are people all over the world who are praying for us right now. I think that there are people in various places of the world who are sad for America, as we are sad for ourselves, but who are rooting for us. 76 years ago today, the Allied forces landed on the beaches at Normandy to push back the fascists, to push back the Nazis. Our ancestors pushed them back in Europe, and it's our challenge. We will push them back in America. We will, as other generations before us have had to do, we will push back against forces of tyranny and fascism and white supremacy. Nothing that's happening is all that new. But we've had slavery and we pushed it back. We had institutionalized oppression of women, we pushed it back. We had institutionalized white supremacy in the American South, we pushed it back. We ended those things. And it's simply our generation's turn. This is the next iteration of the forces of violence and oppression and injustice, which unfortunately are not yet rooted out of human consciousness, but which have defined the struggle of America from the very beginning of our days, where we have represented our own psychic bipolarity between the most aspirational and enlightened principles that have ever formed the founding of a nation versus the forces that have always been there to violate and to transgress against those principles. Every generation decides for itself which way God's going to go. And over time, we do tend to self-correct. We answered slavery with abolition. We answered the suppression of women with women's suffrage and feminism. We answered segregation with the civil rights movement. And we are answering the threats of our time with what we're doing here tonight. We're answering the threats of our time with what those protesters, peaceful protesters, are doing all over our country. We are living it as we speak. And for us to acknowledge that, to affirm that, to recognize that, to hold it all very prayerfully is so important. And I'm so grateful to have had this opportunity to speak into the deep listening that all of us experience right now. Is like I said, it's an honor to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to pray with you all. Dear God, calling upon all of our ancestors and with deep devotion to our descendants, we now place our precious world and our precious country, our precious earth, our precious fellow citizens in your hands. We ask, dear God, to be used by you as instruments of your peace, as conduits of your power, as channels of your glory. Show us where you would have us go and what you would have us do, what you would have us say, and to whom. May all of us gathered here feel the touch of your hand upon us. We send our love, our blessing, our best wishes to each other. We send our love, our blessings, and our best wishes to all the people of the world. We send our love, our peace, and our best wishes to the earth itself. We send our love, our peace, and our best wishes to the animals, the species who inhabit this earth with us. And we pray for the invocation for the dawning of a new enlightened era. We ask for blessing on the lovers and healing for the haters. Standing forth in the absolute knowledge that within the miracles of God, there are no order of difficulties, there are no limitations. And we pray that that unlimited power of love now move through us. And so it is. Together, we all say, amen. God bless you, everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Marianne. And again, I just want to ask people to really tune into what she's doing. I've so enjoyed watching this progressive summit of progressive candidates, and really want to encourage. She still has 3 more, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. It's always at 6 o'clock in the evening, Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And Marianne, how can people find this?
you can go to progressivecandidatesummit.com, or you can also go to marianne.com or mariannenow.com, and any of those places. And of course, I talk about it a lot on my own Twitter and Facebook, etc. The YouTube channel has the others that have already taken place. Ken said it. On top of everything else, we must vote. And Congress is a co-equal branch of government. It's not just about the presidential election. It's about who sits in those seats in the House of Representatives and the Senate. Thank you so much for saying that, Ken. To hear major voices in our community say that, I do believe that's the next step for us. Thank you so much.
And anybody who wants to, those of you on Facebook, Love Coach Academy has been carrying it, and you can find in our Love Coach Academy place all the video replays. So you can find them.
Thank you, Scott, for all you're doing for us. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
God bless you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Marianne. Good to have you with us. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to my partner, Deborah Giusti, to introduce our next performer.
Great. And we've posted in the chat room the links to Marianne's session, so you can find it there as well. And yes, I'm so happy to present our next performer, who was with us at the beginning of our show during Earth Day. She's a total favorite. She is blessed with a crystal voice and angelic presence, and she has devoted fans from coast to coast and all around the world. She's inspired by the roots of American folk music, Celtic music, mystical tones of India. And we invited her especially because she's very deep soul family with one of our beneficiaries, beloved Blaine Lyon, who we are going to fund with the GoFundMe campaign. So we wanted her to come and bless this situation to support Blaine. So now we are so happy to welcome you back, Tina. Thank you. Tina Malia.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hi, family around the world. It's so nice to be here. I'm always so proud to be part of this community and see Lynn and Marianne and Michaela, Fantuzzi, Mariella, Scott, Deborah, all of you. We've all known each other and been part of this family for decades. It's really a joy and an honor. And thank you so much for offering your support up tonight for my dear friend Blaine Lyon. I'll be dedicating a song a little bit later for him. So I just want to use my time. I just want to continue on with Marianne's beautiful prayer that she offered, and just continue that prayer in song. So this is a very, very old prayer. This is an ancient prayer from India in Sanskrit. And the translation says, lead us from ignorance to truth, lead us from darkness to light, lead us from death to that which is immortal. So it's the Om Asatoma prayer. Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritam Gamaya. 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 Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya
Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityormam Ritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityormam Ritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityormam Ritam Gamaya Mrityormam Ritam Gamaya Mrityormam Ritam Gamaya Mrityormam Ritam Gamaya.
Thank you so much, dear soul sister Tina Malia. And she's going to be back in a little while with another song. Thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it over to one of our producing partners, Ken Kaufman, who has something special to share.
Well, let's see. We have one of our nonprofits tonight here. Well, not nonprofits, but one of our donors, Mariella de la Paz, and she's a visionary artist, plant medicine woman. She has been living with cancer for 12 years, and she had it contained recently, until recently, when it became obvious that the methods were no longer sufficient. She was diagnosed with stage 3 fast-growing inoperable cancer in June of 2019, and it was treated at UCSF with methods that were not favorable to overall health and with no clear outcomes. And once COVID came along, they stopped contacting her. So she decided to claim her sovereignty over her health. And since then, she's dedicated so many years to natural healing therapies, including 2 decades as a master plant, and became clear to her that botanical surgery was her path to eradicate the cancer once and for all. But she is currently out of funds and she needs support. So we're here tonight to give her the support, and we're going to hear a few words from her right now. But thank you for joining us, Mariella, tonight on a very special evening.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You're a little bit faint, but we can hear you.
Well, I just wanted to express my gratitude for choosing me to support me through this, when I know right now there are so many people in need. So I am very moved also to see some old friends, so many I know for so long, Fantusi and Scott and Tina Malia and Deborah. So thank you. That's I'm in a lot of pain right now. This is a very painful and very slow protocol. So I won't be able to stay through the end of the night, but because I need to lie down. But I'll stay as long as I can.
Thank you, Mariella. And again, she's one of our beneficiaries, and we really want to invite people to please go to our GoFundMe campaign. You'll see it right here. GoFundMe, support for the Global Peace Tribe. And we do share with people, our people that donate $44 or more, we share your name out. So, you know, it's really a wonderful, wonderful thing. And we really want to thank all of you for the support. We've had 236 people donate to us throughout the last 9 weeks. We've supported so many nonprofit organizations, and tonight we're supporting Mariella, and we're supporting Blaine Lyon. And we'll learn a little bit more about Blaine a little bit later in tonight's program. Kenny, is there a little bit more you'd like to share?
That's until, we'll do more at the mid-break, but thank you.
Sure. All right. You know, speaking of funders, I'm going to put the spotlight. I don't know if he's going to speak a little bit later today, but I just want to acknowledge Jay Mayer. He's with us, but I guess his camera's not on right this moment. But Jay has been an extraordinary support person. And we're going to take a look at learning a little bit more about the work that he's been doing. He created something called Light Touch, and he's also been supporting the Love Coach Academy. We provide free programming and free support to people. And so here's a little video to introduce you to Jay and the Love Coach Academy and the work that he's been doing with us and supporting so many of us. The Love Coach Academy is a collective of heart-based individuals. We've helped thousands around the world to overcome challenges and to have greater relationships through understanding each other. We combine the wisdom of Marshall Rosenberg, founder of Nonviolent Communication, with emotional intelligence skill building, creating tools to change our neural pathways, which allow us to go from reptile brain reactivity into frontal lobe responsiveness. Under the leadership of Scott Katamas and his core group of coaches, we are excited to announce our new partnership with Jay Mayer and Light Touch. We are adding his techniques to our collective tool belts. Please join our upcoming free online webinars, giving you the support to thrive. And with Jay's support, Love Coach Academy is providing free programs to people throughout the world every day at 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. There's Jay, he's come back. So thank you, Jay. And we're going to hear from Jay a little bit later on in our program. So thank you so much, Jay, for all the support you've given to the GoFundMe campaign, to supporting and sponsoring tonight's show, and to your support for Love Coach Academy as well. And to introduce our next speaker, here's my partner, Deborah.
Thank you. Well, our theme tonight is how we act locally and think globally. And we wanted to invite this woman back again to our show because she is a prime example of that in so many ways. Lynn Twist is a co-founder of Pachamama Alliance, which is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to help the indigenous people of the Amazon rainforest to preserve their lands and culture. But really, this is a worldwide calling and mission. And from that, she realizes it's got to start in your backyard, in your home. So her and her team created Awaken the Dreamer, which teaches people locally how the state of the world and what people can do and how they can act. And she's had a lifelong mission to support the earth and its people, from working with Mother Teresa in Calcutta to the refugee camps in Ethiopia and the threatened rainforests of Amazon. Lynn has been a tireless, sacred activist for Mama Gaia. I believe she listens to her very deeply, and she's here to wake us up and tell us what we need to do to turn all this around. So I'm so happy and so thankful to present Lynn Twist.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you, Scott, and thank you, Marianne, and thank you, Jay, and thank you, Ken, and thank you all the people whose names I'm not saying for this wonderful harvest of beautiful voices and moment in the history of our country and the history of our movement and the history of our world and the kind of evolution of each one of our lives. I feel very in touch right now with how important it is for people like the people who are on this particular screen. I can't see all of you, but the ones I can see, and even the ones I can't see, that you would take your Saturday night and use it to raise your consciousness, to lift up your capacity to be of use to this world, that you would be engaging in prayer, in personal service. I know I'm talking to people who do that. And when you said, Deborah, I will awaken people, I think you guys are already awake. Really awake. So thank you for being so awake. As you said, Deborah, that Awakening the Dreamer Symposium is a program that the Pachamama Alliance does in 88 countries. And of course now, and actually for years now, we've been online with that program. And what follows that 2-hour experience, well, it used to be 8 hours, but now it's 2 hours. The Pachamama Alliance was able to condense it down because people are more and more and more awake. So to bring them into a place where they see how they can be useful, how you can be useful, right where you live, right in your home, sheltering in home, right in your own heart, right in your own, as Deborah said, your backyard, be that your community, your family, your particular tribe, like this is a tribe, this is such a beautiful tribe, to keep awakening not only yourself, but the consciousness of our world to face this moment. I think everybody here has been either brokenhearted this week, or devastated this week, or hurting this week, or in touch with a kind of pain that is deeper and more prevalent than they've known before in our human family, particularly our human family in the United States. And I think we've also been inspired. As Marianne said, she's proud of Americans. I am too. Today I had the real great honor and joy of participating in a protest here, a Black Lives Matter protest in San Francisco. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people walked across peacefully the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco to Marin, and then from Marin to San Francisco back. That's about a 4-mile experience, and it was moving. It was exhilarating. And I realized when I came home to my house where I live in San Francisco, that I hadn't been close to people physically, certainly not thousands of them, but not even dozens of them for 4 months. I kind of didn't realize it. And the experience of being physically with people outside on a sunny, blustery, but beautiful day in San Francisco was so moving. First of all, I was so moved that everybody was out there. And secondly, I was walking with I call him my son in love. His name is Ken. He's my oldest son's partner, and he's Black, and he's a beautiful Black man physically, and he's got a huge heart. And I realized as I was walking across the bridge with him, kind of arm in arm, that most of the people, and he noticed this actually, were white. And they were there as an act of solidarity, an act not of charity, but of solidarity with our brothers and sisters who have suffered the trauma of 400 years since the slave trade began here in the United States. 400 years of oppression, of murder, of crushing realities, of prejudice, of bigotry, of cruelty, of brutality that's almost unimaginable. And yet here they are standing up for themselves and for all life. And this week, this last few days in particular, since George Floyd was murdered, it's as if the pandemic, the whole world globally, was experiencing the same exact thing at the same time for the first time in human history. The first time in human history. We weren't hit by a meteorite. No, it is something that impacts every single person alive on the planet today in very different ways. Yes, some people impacted horrifically because they died. Other people impacted in ways that made them terribly sick. Other people impacted in ways that they lost everything because of the crash and collapse of our economy. And there's people who haven't been affected as much as others, but we've all been affected. The virus knows no color, knows no political party. It goes from body to body to body, human to human to human. We are biologically one being. And if anybody ever thought we weren't interconnected, it's so clear now. And it's as if the virus made us see it so plain and clean and clear and simple with suffering, with pain, but actually a everyone being in the same experience at one time is just, I've never seen anything like that in my lifetime. And it's as if that readied us, prepared us to now rise up together and say no more. It's as if that pandemic were the perfect divine architecture to awaken us, to have us go not just inside our homes, but inside of our hearts, to go sheltering inside of who we are long enough that we could see the horrific and horrendous racism in our country that's inside of every single one of us. And that now I think the awakening is right here at home in my heart, in my life, to re-examine who I am and the way I think, to realize the blindness that's in even the best of us that has produced this kind of an outcome for our brothers and sisters, for our police, for our military, for all the people engaged in this unbelievable coming to terms with something that both built this country and is internally destroying this country. So I want to say that the bringing it home, the global and local, the local is very local, it's personal, it's deeply awakening in a place that I don't think we've been ever as confronted with how little we understand, those of us who are white, how little we understand what we have wrought and how to unravel that and how to find our way to our full humanity. So I wanted to say that local for me is here in my home and in my heart, in my body. And it's also true for the Pachamama Alliance. Internally in the organization, we are looking at what is institutional injustice in our institution, what is intrapersonal injustice and racism inside of our relationships, what is systemic that we can't see because it's part of the system, the way we think. And from all of those different aspects of what has racism have such a grip on our humanity, we have the opportunity, I think, now to pivot, the opportunity to release, to free, to let go, and to be in communion, as Marianne so beautifully said, with one another and with our relationship with the Spirit, whatever that is for us, our relationship with God, our relationship with the experience of God in every human being. This is the time, this is the place. It's historic, it is epic. It is an epic time in the journey of the human family. And so we feel at Pachamama Alliance that there has never been a more important decade than 2020 to 2030. And here we are at the beginning of 2020, the beginning of the 2020s, being given the opportunity to have 2020 vision, real vision, to really see as we enter this next decade, to have the pandemic come right at the beginning of the 2020s, the most important decade in the history of the world, the final decade of the Sustainable Development Goals, and the decade that will determine whether or not we have a future with life on Earth. And every single person within the sound of my voice and not within the sound of my voice has a role to play. It's not a big role, as we say in Pachamama Alliance. It's not a small role, we say in Pachamama Alliance. It's your role. And find out what it is and play it with all your heart. Thank you, Deborah and Scott and everybody for these convenings on Saturday night. Thank you for having my participation and inviting Pachamama Alliance to be part of this. And I also represent the Soul of Money Institute. I'm really very, very deeply in touch with what it means to call people together right now, which is what you're doing, and to give them both a platform to hear, a platform to pray, a platform to connect, a platform to listen, and most of all, a platform to love. Thank you.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Lynn. Thank you so much for bringing the reality of Pachamama and awakening the dreamer to us. I know so many of us have been, it's my favorite charity, and I know it is for many of us. So thank you. You know, this whole experience, what you were experiencing on Saturday Night Live for the Global Peace Tribe, all began with a fundraiser. Before the pandemic hit, Deborah Giusti was going to host a fundraiser for our beloved brother Fantuzzi. And the pandemic hit, and it's like, what do we do? So Deborah and I thought, well, let's do an online fundraiser. I've done many of those. And thank you to all of you who supported our previous fundraiser for Trevor Miller, who's doing very, very well now. We really may have saved his life, certainly extended his life. So we decided to do an online fundraiser for Fantuzzi, and some people enjoyed it. They was like, God, what else do we have to do on a Saturday night? And that is how this whole thing began. We're going to hear from Fantuzzi in a moment, but I want to acknowledge that while Lynn was talking, we have had so many donations come in. And we've had about 40 donations come in. So I want to thank everybody. It's really, it's actually quite remarkable. Celestine, Alora, Tisha, Solana, Indra, James, Mindy, Jane, somebody named Anonymous keeps donating over and over and over. I really appreciate that anonymous character. Teresa Collins will be with us in a couple of weeks again. Catherine, another Teresa, Francine, and so on goes. So thank you everyone so much for those incredible donations that you're providing to us. And it's now my pleasure for our next musical offering, our beloved brother Fantuzzi. Fantuzzi, it all began with you. And take it away, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me once again. This is an honor and a pleasure. Everybody who speaks and sings just touches my heart and my soul. And this is what the world needs more of. Amen. I just came from a march in Berkeley, and it was a peaceful march, and I got to march with my grandchildren. And we had also, if not thousands, tens of thousands. And even the police were smiling at me and greeting me, and I greeted them. And I said, wow, isn't it nice that it was peaceful? And he said, oh, sure, it sure is. So there was all this love shared with everybody. And I want to speak a little bit about the act locally and think globally. It's always about acting locally. Plant trees, plant food, plant love in your heart and as many hearts as you possibly can. And act locally by keeping the vision of a world that works for everybody, everywhere. And to the family of George Floyd, blessings to you. And he's been like a sacrifice, the sacrificial lamb, because we've sparked this thing, has been sparked. And there's no end to it till we get rid of the darkness and rid of the racism. And I pray that we actually do it. So here's a little song for you. I call it One Earth, One People. Come on. Oh Lord, mercy. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Shiva Shambho. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Hara Hara Mahadeva Mukela. Da da da. Da 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 da. That's the horn section in Jamaica. Da 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 da. Ba da 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 da. When I was just a little boy down in Harlem, down in the ghetto, things were pretty cool, but far, far, far from mellow. So I learned a few things like you all about survival. And I've come to tell everybody that everybody's part is vital, right? It's just like stand up and be counted. Come on, stand up and be counted. Stand up counted. One earth, one people, stand up and be counted. Come on, stand up and be counted. Stand up and be counted. Cause we are all one people. Think globally, act locally. Come up with a man that they call Fantuzi. Say, come move your body, come move with me. Just like in Jamaica, Debbie. Stand up and be counted. All over this world, have you noticed? We all sing the same song. Nations lead us, people. Let's all just learn to get along. No matter what religion you are, race, color, or creed, we've all come here together, and we must learn to get along to succeed. So stand up and be counted. Ah! Stand up and be counted. Stand up and be counted. One earth, one people. Stand up and be counted. Stand up and be counted. Stand up and be counted. Cause we are all one people. Bam, bam. Bam, 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 bam. Woo! Bam, bam, bam. Come now, people, and don't hesitate. Respect is due for what Jah create. And life is a blessing to celebrate. If we could get this to the head of the stage, a situation would then be great. If you no, there'll be no more boys, no more boys, no more girls, no more girls. So get out, no family, do something. That's right, stand up and be counted. Ooh. Stand up and be counted. Stand up, be counted. One earth, one people. Stand up and be counted. Everybody get out there and march peacefully, because it's your turn to show and stand up for justice, harmony, and unity. Every time, every single time. Think globally. Act globally. Yeah, man. Think globally. Come on. Act globally. I know you can do it. Think globally. It's your turn. Act globally. You and me. Yeah. Think globally. Family. Act globally. Global peace family. Thank you for having me. Thank you for loving me. Pray, 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 like my sister said, Marianne Williamson. Pray, 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 and dance your prayers and sing your prayers. I love you. Stand up and be counted.
Beautiful. Thank you, beloved brother Fantuzzi. And Fantuzzi, you can catch him every Tuesday night. We have Fan Tuesdays, and you can catch it on his Fantuzzi music channel on Facebook, or same channel many of you are watching, Love Coach Academy. Every Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, it is Fan Tuesdays. So definitely join us for that.
We do meditations, we do poetry, and we do music.
And only as Fantuzzi can do it. Thank you so much, brother. I love you.
Thank you, family. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, family.
All right. Take it away, Deborah.
Thank you so much, Fantuzzi. You always can guarantee to raise the energy and take us into our hearts and spirits. And I appreciate and love you so much.
Love you, sister.
And yes, and now we have another woman who is really following her heart and thinking globally and acting locally. Michaela Sophia Lev is going to give us a wisdom jewel. And she is an amazing documentary filmmaker, earth activist, superfood fairy, event producer. And she last year produced an incredible gathering for women up in Shasta called G-Fest. She felt really called that it was time to gather the women to share their hearts, their wisdom, their ceremony. And it was amazing. And this year it can't happen because of what's happening now, but she's going to be taking that virtual. And next weekend, she's going to be sharing G-Fest with 72 women that are coming. So this is another woman who is following her heart to gather the women who are the healers and the spokespeople of what needs to happen in terms of the change now. So I'm so happy to present Michaela to share her wisdom jewel. Thanks, Michaela.
Thank you, Deborah. Hi, everyone. I'm very, very moved to be here with all of you right now. That was a very moving Fantuzzi. And just to connect with everyone way deeper than I imagined being here on Zoom. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you a little bit about my intention, the intention behind the event, because it's almost more important than the actual event. My intention when creating this event really had to do a lot with really honoring and bringing in the energy of the sacred feminine at this time on the planet. Just the energy that's so needed and necessary to kind of balance out this overriding, intense, masculine, feels like overarching energy that's happening. So, you know, it's funny with all of this happening, I went through such a wave of emotion with everything happening on the planet and the Black Lives Matters movement and going like, is this really the thing? And the deeper I checked in, the answer was just like, yes, it is it. It's women are needed, women's voices are needed as well. And even though we had to cancel the live event, it really opened up everything into a much more beautiful and bigger space, because now we have women from all around the globe joining us. We have women from Israel, from Argentina, from Japan, from England, from Bali, and that just probably wouldn't have happened if it was live here in Mount Shasta. So it's a virtual vigil. It's 36 hours back to back, women presenting 30 minutes nonstop around the globe. So I really would love you all to join us. It started here locally and it's going global, and we'd just love to have you. So you're very welcome. And it's in a private Facebook group that I wanted to say, if you want to join in, it's called the G-Fest Goddess Collective. It's a women's only group. So you actually need to join the group to be admitted in, to come into the event, which is totally free. And I wanted to say that we're also teaming up with an organization called Better Birthing in Oakland, run by Samsara Morgan. So all the donations are going to go to supporting this woman of African-American descent and her beautiful organization in Oakland. I hope you'll join us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do. Really, really appreciate that.
Great to be here.
I also just want to say that thank you so much. The GoFundMe campaign is really, so many people are donating, and we just went over the $20,000 mark that we've raised through this GoFundMe campaign. We just went over the $20,000 mark. So that's very, very cool. Thank you, everybody. And I'm grateful to see that Mariella is still with us. She's still watching. She's been, I think Fantuzzi's music kind of was better than caffeine. Isn't Fantuzzi's music even better than caffeine, right?
Yes, and some cannabis for the pain. I'm playing cannabis.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Fantuzzi, for giving her that boost. Really appreciate it. You know, when we decided that this was going to be our topic, we'd already agreed on this topic before the murder and before the protests. So I do want to let people know that next week, we're really dedicating this show to All Voices Matter. And we're going to be primarily featuring people of color and people that don't always get a chance to speak. So we might not have as many famous people, but we're going to have an incredible show of very important voices to listen to. And I just want to put out there, if any of you know people of color that have a voice that you want to have heard, please contact me or Deborah. You can always Facebook message me. I'm the only Scott Katamas on the planet, because we really want to hear from a lot of people. We'll probably have many short wisdom jewels from people next week. So I want to put that out there. And along those lines, one of my favorite couples, and they are an incredibly multicultural couple, are Suzanne and Satyam Raja. And they really are a wonderful example of two people that think globally and act locally. They are a remarkable couple They are doing remarkable things in the world. I've had the pleasure of working with them. I've been to their home. Satyan honestly is, even though he's significantly younger than me, I consider him a mentor. And Suzanne as well. So I really, as soon as we chose this theme, I asked them if they'd be willing to come on and share and speak, and I'm so grateful to have them back with us. So let's welcome Suzanne and Satya Raja.
Ooh, thank you so much, Scott and Deborah, and just so moved tonight by those that have spoken. The music and the words and the feeling in the heart. And really what's arising for me very strongly is when we speak about unity, it's really about the human family, the unification of our human family. And with what has gone on in the world right now, it's just had us really see and feel, because we all have a sense of what is in pain. And we're all in this sense of suffering when we are less than connected, united with each other. The moment we come out of being united, it's the moment when we start to feel the pain and the suffering. And so we've been feeling that for a while. And what has gone on just recently has just been just the axe that has just got us all cracked open. And so my message lately has been, let us all come together and remember, what is the intention here? The intention, my belief that the intention is to remove the brutality from humanity. Take that out. And when we speak about thinking globally and acting locally, take the brutality out of your local space, which means yourself. Start with yourself, start with your family. Take the brutality out of that. Take the brutality out of your mind. Anything that would have you feel anything less than connected and unified and in one with another. Take that brutality out. Start with that. And then you can start to open your hearts and open your minds and open your consciousness to helping to heal the world of brutality. Start with yourself, friends, brothers, sisters, family. Start with yourselves, and then move to the global awakening. Then and only then can you be an example, because words are great, but it's the example that's going to be the difference. So be the difference that you want to see in the world.
Thank you, Mama. George Floyd. Just want to take a moment to honor his life, his family, and to make a dedication that much of this crack that's happening is a result of his unfortunate sacrifice and murder. And so I just wanted to make clarity on that and honor that. And we went to the protest in Vancouver, Suzanne and I, on the behest of our daughter and our family. We had never been to a protest ever. We've always been in the space of peace, these type of things. I always had the metaphysical idea I should avoid all these things. And I felt, no, I need to move beyond this metaphysical loftiness that I'm holding and come straight out and see and feel the suffering of all those that are there. And it was a profound experience for me. I got to see firsthand thousands of people come together peacefully, consciously, with awareness of each other, with tenderness of each other, and with deep sobriety and somberness. And then each Black person that came up and expressed with a megaphone their pain over and over, it started hitting me. And I recognized, you know what? I do have an advantage. Many of us in our worlds, we have what's called privilege, or I consider we have advantages. And I believe we have a warrior within us. And those of us who have advantages, while all those are coming together to rally and protest, what about the ones that have advantage where they don't have to fear coming in front of authority figures? They don't have to fear a club or getting arrested. All of us who have that authority within ourselves, all of us who have that capacity, that advantage within us to approach police. I took the chance, I was scared, but I took the chance at this rally to bring together the police and say, listen, on behalf of us citizens, I recognize the work you do. I don't even know what dangers you keep us from at night. So thank you. And I'm asking on behalf of all of us that you eject the bad apples, the ones who are less than integral. And I swear to God, their jaws just dropped. Because I asked, not bombarding them, not pushing on them, but coming underneath their ego, recognizing their significance, recognizing who they are, and then dropping from my soul to that. So my request locally is for all of us who have advantage to take the steps, not just metaphysically alone, not just internally alone, but then when we come into a type of equilibrium, a type of stillness, a type of galvanizing of our spirit and our courage and our vulnerability, that we approach police that we know in the precincts, who are on the streets, who are coming together and lovingly, conscientiously request collectively from our advantage that they clean up their own house. And that those officers who are in the light, who are integral, we've got their back, because how many politics they have within their world to try to eject those who are less than integral is very difficult. Let's support those officers who are holding integrity, who are there for all of us. Let's not smash them down. Let's hold them, hold their back. And let's, with our advantage, collectively bring forth this pustule, this pimple that needs to come to the top to get burst and relieved. But only, I feel, my friends, we have our Black brothers and sisters. They need to do their part. They need to be in protest. They need to express their anger. For those who don't understand that, who will never understand that because of the advantages of our life, let us still march, but directly to the source of the root and clean it up from the heart, peacefully, conscientiously, with great appreciation. Watch, I believe, what will happen to society. We will build the trust back. And that is my heart request to all of us.
Thank you, dear Suzanne and Satyam. And I really encourage people to go to the Warrior Sage page. Satyam has been doing extraordinary interviews with remarkable people. And how can people best find you and find that?
We've started a training, an international training for those who wish to develop the cultivations of the warrior and the sage, the spiritual awakening, the spiritual warrior. And so this is totally free. We have an online group that's been building with 100 dojos around the world. You can go to warriorsage.com and you can start off with one of our, probably right now, we have a free training called the Relationship Activation. All relationships. It'll teach you how to be in affinity, teach you how to approach with this type of conscientious awareness of each other's positive intent, even in the midst of strife.
That's the thing. We have to learn how to communicate in a way that we can listen to each other, really start to understand each other, and understand that each and every person is valuable, is valued. And so this is what we're teaching here. We need basic communication skills so that we can move through and do what we need to do.
Thank you so much for your service. I love you both so much.
Thank you all friends, family. Thank you all for stepping up into your next step, what you must do. Let's all do it together, all right?
Aho.
Oh.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. And now we get to flow right into some incredible, beautiful music. Daniel Ballone is a spiritual leader and a mantra singer that has transformed the lives of thousands of people around the world. He shares awakening through music. He's performed in more than 30 countries in America, Asia, and Europe. And as a spiritual leader, he teaches the art of happiness. But the sweetness and depth of his music is why we brought him back again. So I introduce Daniel Ballone.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I'm so honored to be part of this event. It's so beautiful to bring this energy forward. Each one of us is contributing with our light, with our presence, with our wisdom. And I think we are living in a time more than ever before where humanity feels united all over the world. We can feel each other more than ever before. There's a oneness that is emerging, like it was said before, not only biologically through the virus, but emotionally through the abuse, and even spiritually and psychologically. We are one. And to support this movement, I would like to share a mantra that is connected with removing obstacles within. Because there's a spiritual principle that says, whatever we see outside is only a reflection of our inner self. Our state of consciousness is what is creating the collective human mind, the one mind that we all share. And when we are able to deal with those things inside, when we are able to initiate a journey of transformation towards love, towards oneness, towards empathy and compassion, then we are going to see a golden age out there where people will be cooperating instead of competing. We will be helping each other, communities and countries will thrive, and this is the world that we need to create in the next 10 years. So I would like to share this energy of a new beginning, of a removal of obstacles, of a concentration of the power of love, so that we can achieve the success of becoming a one humanity together in love. Om Ganeshaya Namah, Shri Ganeshaya Namah, Jaya Ganeshaya Namah, Om Ganeshaya Namah, Om Ganeshaya Namah, Shri Ganeshaya Namah, Jaya Ganeshaya Namah, Om Ganeshaya Namah. Om Shrim Hrim Klim Klam Kam Ganapataye Varavarada Sarva Janameva Shamanaya Swaha. Om Shrim Hrim Klim Klam Kam Ganapataye Varavarada Sarva Janameva Shamanaya Swaha. Pataye Varavarada Sarva Janameva Shamanaya Swaha. Om Ganeshaya Namah, Shri Ganeshaya Namah, Jaya Ganeshaya Namah, Om Ganeshaya Namah, Om Ganeshaya Namah, Shri Ganeshaya Namah, Jaya Ganeshaya Namah, Om Ganeshaya Namah. He Gajavadana Parvati Nandan, Jaya Shivanandan, Jaya Shivanandan. He Gajavadan Parvati Nandan, Jaya Shivanandan, Jaya Shivanandan. Ekadantam Mahakayim Lambodara Gajananam. Ekadantam Mahakayim Lambodara Gajananam. Vijnanasham Karam Devam Herambam Pranamaham. Vijnanasham Karam Devam Herambam Pranamaham. Om Ganeshaya Namah, Shri Ganeshaya Namah, Jaya Ganeshaya Namah, Om Ganeshaya Namah, Om Ganeshaya Namah, Shri Ganeshaya Ganeshaya Nam, Jaya Ganeshaya Nam, Om Ganeshaya Namah. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om 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 Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Gam Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Gam Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Gam Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Gam Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapataye, Gam Ganapataye, Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Maha Ganapataye Namaha.
Oh, thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Whew. We're going to hear another song from Daniel a little bit later in our program. I want to thank more of the people that are continuing to share. I want to thank Malia, Julie, Dan, Jennifer, Nicola, B, Roya, Jean, Lynn, Laura, Suzanne. Thank you all so much for donating. Really appreciate that. Every week we do a meditation, and to my surprise, Deborah suggested that I lead the meditation today. And she had to ask me a few times actually before I kind of thought to, okay. And so I do want to invite people to close your eyes, unless you're operating a motor vehicle and listening in. But let's close our eyes. And I want to invite us to breathe. Breathing at your own pace. Just gently listening to the sound of my voice. Breath. Breath is life. The show started with Sister Stone helping us to bless our water and appreciate water. Now as we breathe together, thousands together, over all of our different services, we're all breathing together. Breath is life. And as we're grateful for our breath and we're grateful for our life, I invite us to feel into the horrific tragedy that most of us have watched the video of a man, an innocent man, being deprived of breath by a police officer. We look to police to make us safe. And the horror, the tragic visual of a man gasping for 8.5 minutes for breath, while an officer deprived him of breath, while 3 other officers stood by and allowed it to happen. I am so grateful for my breath. And the microcosm of the death of this man represents also the macrocosm of the pandemic. When people die from this pandemic, it's because they can't breathe. Something like 350,000 people that we know of worldwide, 110,000 people in this country. And so let us be grateful for breath. And as we take these breaths together, Let's remember everything, all the inspiration from Andrew Harvey, Marianne Williamson, Sister Stone, Suzanne and Satyam, Fantuzzi, Lynn Twist, Deborah Giusti, all the people that we're hearing from tonight. Let's take that inspiration and really ask Great Spirit, what shall I do? We are the ones we've been waiting for. This is the time we've been preparing for. And now is the time to align our higher self, our God self, with our ego and our personality, and to breathe consciously. And in meditation, in prayer, get in touch with what is my purpose today. And I honor those of you that your purpose is to slow down, to relax, to pray. That is beautiful. And if your purpose is like Suzanne and Satyam and Fantuzzi and Lynn did today, to go out and protest and to walk with our great growing tribe, thank you. And if your form of service is whatever form of care, whatever form of healing, whatever form of service is yours to do, thank you. We are breathing together. We are the butterfly cells finding each other as the caterpillar dies. And in this soup of the dying caterpillar, we find each other, we support each other, we walk arm in arm, black, brown, yellow, white, all faiths, all religions, dedicated to peace. For we are the global peace tribe, and we are coming together. So let's all consciously breathe and be grateful for our breath. And remember those who have suffered, those who have died, those who are being in service, the hospital workers, the postal workers, those people who are risking themselves. May we honor all beings that are showing up in peace and unity and harmony. Let's not get lost in focusing on the dying caterpillar, but rather let's focus on all the butterfly cells coming together to create this beautiful new world. So let's all take 3 deep breaths together, committing to honoring those who are of service. Our own personal commitment to tune in every day to how we can be of service, what's being called upon us to do. Gratitude for our life, for these beautiful body temples, for breath. Namaste.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Very appropriate. Thank you. And now we are going to have one more song by Sister Stone. Thank you, Sister Stone.
Thank you. Just honoring the communication that we need to develop. Suzanne, thank you. And Scott, the dying caterpillar, the emerging butterfly, the protesting, the action, and the unraveling of privilege in our systems, in our organizations, in our bodies, in our minds, and just in the same vein, wanting to honor and seeing in a lot of the online communities, a lot of people not being so nice to one another. And what I'm hearing and calling in, as Suzanne spoke of, is that deeper, loving communication. How can we coach each other? How can we ask deepening questions that helps us unravel that cocoon more, so that we can actually get to the root of what is happening for each and every person, because everyone is feeling, and feelings are valid, and we need to be supporting each other and loving one another right now to get to the bottom of this unpacking and this unraveling and this decomposition process that we're all in together. And on a local level, that global and local, it's bringing back to ourselves, what are the ways that our minds have been colonized? What are the ways that we've had advantages? Those of us who are non-Black or non-people of color, how has our skin color, how have we benefited from or contributed to racism? And allow shame to rise and allow shame to fall, and allow that to transform into grief. And as we grieve, we melt away those barriers of the walls between us. And so I feel like this is just such an important time for us to be with the feelings and be here grounded on the earth as we are. And I'm just really appreciating each and every one of you in this space to be real and raw about what is going on and how we can really truly feel it, to let our hearts break open. Thank you. So I leave you all this evening with one song, one final song of mine. And this is really on behalf of us as Earth Warriors right now, and honoring and seeing each of us and how we can show up in our highest and best together on behalf of all of life. So I'm going to share a link to my music, so you guys can take it home with you tonight. So here we go. I call them my friends, family and allies. Sometimes I miss them oh so much, but I know they're out there spreading their good touch. We are warriors of the earth, calling for rebirth. All my people of all walks of life, it's time to stand together on behalf of this life. Relate to each other, relate to this planet, fall in love with our home of which we inhabit. I pray for my relations, lead in the way, everybody dedicated to this beautiful way. Thank you for your service and the part that you play. I'm constantly inspired by you each and every day. I'm in awe of your brilliance and your resilience. In these times that we face, we need courage and grace. I bow to your strength, love and devotion. I feel you, I see you, let's keep this in motion. paths will cross, and they will weave a legacy of love. We believe all of these soul connections all over the world. I feel so fortunate to know these heroes. We are warriors of the earth, calling for rebirth. We are warriors of the earth, calling for rebirth. Da-da-dee-da-da-da. We are warriors of the earth, calling for rebirth. One more time, sing it with me. We are warriors of the earth, calling for rebirth. Da-da-da-da-da. Thank you. Yeah, we are warriors of the earth. We need this strength right now together. Thank you all so much for everyone's sharing, everyone's hearts, prayers, voices, tears. I'm going to share my Spotify link, Sister Stone on Spotify, Sister Stone Music. I'm also lead nature, deep nature and soul connection experiences with the Animas Valley Institute and my own work and supporting earth-rooted leadership. So grateful again. Thank you so much, Scott, and for inviting me.
Oh, thank you so much, Sister Stone. I love your message. I love how you integrate your message in some really wonderful music. God bless you. Thank you. So this is what we call kind of our mid-show, although we're a little bit past the midway point, but this is where we just make a few more announcements. I really want to thank our sponsor again, Jay Mayer, who makes this happen. There's Jay. I'm going to hear from him in a few moments. Jay, thank you so much for your incredible generosity on so many levels. Really, really grateful for that. And I want to thank all the people that are donating to us right now. It's really, they're really flying in. And it's beautiful. Your support for Mariella and for Blaine really means a lot to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll continue to read. Oh, there's Mariella. She is. So thank you so much for how you're sponsoring her and supporting her tonight and supporting Blaine. Thank you very, very much. And just a reminder that again, the GoFundMe campaign, you'll find it right here. It's the Global Peace Tribe, and you'll see we've gone well over the $20,000 mark tonight, which is very exciting. So thank you so much. And all donations are appreciated. So I'm really, really grateful. And I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Deborah.
Yes, I want to thank you all so much personally as well, and thank Jay so much. And want to invite you to stay till the end for Community Connections, where you can come online and give a 1-minute share of your heart. Also, to let you know that we do send out the replays. If you've signed up on Zoom, you get an email on Monday with your replay. And we're also going to send a survey because we want to continue this out through June and possibly beyond. And we want to know what you would like to see and how we can keep developing this. And as we mentioned before, next week's show on June 13th is really going to capsulize what's going on now. Let all voices be heard. And on June 20th is going to be a really big weekend as well. We're going to partner with a lot of different organizations. We're going to partner with Unity Week, which is a 10-day broadcast interconnecting organizations from all over the world. We are going to be broadcast on Global Days of Unity as well, which is a virtual festival. We're going to be supporting Earth Dance International, which is going to have another virtual festival on Sunday, June 21, as well as Global Coherence Pulse, which is going to be on Sunday, June 21. So the name of the game now is collaboration at a really high level. Everyone's supporting everyone so we can all rise up together out of this crisis into a whole new world. And that's really what's happening now. And I'd like to share a gift with you. I published a book called Activate Your Soul Tribe, and it shares how you can identify and draw in your soul tribe. And I would say this is a massive soul tribe that we're connecting with here, the Global Peace Tribe, people that really want to see this world transform into peace and harmony. And this book is a free ebook that you can download if you go to the website, Activate Your Soul Tribe, and I'll put that website in the chat room shortly. And it's also going to be available on a book as a print book on Amazon next week for the first time. So that's really exciting. So this shares how you can attract your soul tribe, identify your soul family, and understand your soul contracts, which come into play and help you create your life, learn life lessons. And when you have that awareness, you have much more consciousness how to create empowered relationships and your soul tribe to live with and soul family. So I gift that to you. Also, we are going to talk about the GoFundMe now, which is how we finance the broadcast with a portion of the funds. And we share this broadcast with you as a gift. And then we request or invite you to share back with us at whatever level that your heart desires. And we take some of that money and we put it into our future broadcasts so we can keep doing this for you. But with the power of that money, we take and we gift it to either nonprofit organizations that are serving community, or this week, we are gifting some precious community members that really need our help. And these people are artists in our community, and they have gifted us so much with beautiful art. Mariella is a beautiful painter, and for years, she has gifted our community with such beautiful art. I have some hanging in my house all over. And so we appreciate her so much. And in our community, the artists, we don't really support the artists. In other cultures, they would be high-level spiritual people that are channeling this creative juice to us. So at this point, we want to support our artists. And the other artist is Blaine Lyon, who we're going to talk about a little bit more. So with that, so if you can finance the GoFundMe, we put the links in the chat room. Blaine Lyon is an amazing artist, musical artist. We have so much love for him. He's given us so much music in our community for years and years. And we're going to talk a little bit more about him later, but I'd like to invite Ken on, who is helping to coordinate all the nonprofits and the GoFundMe. So thank you, Ken, for doing this.
Well, thanks everybody for helping and donate to our cause. And we reciprocate quite a bit. We're going to bring on a couple of people, or one for last week we had, which was the Growing Together. Gray's going to talk in a minute, but Fraternat Notre Dame, they have a mission to just put gospel into practice of charitable works. Basically, they're based in Chicago, but they do a lot of work in San Francisco as basically like a food soup kitchen, where there's pictures. And they received $1,000 last week from us, and same with Gray with Growing Together. They both received $1,000 check. And Gray's going to share a little bit about what they do with the money. And their mission was to green Oakland's community schools, neighborhoods by connecting young people with the living world around them. Working directly with school communities, they transformed the asphalt deserts of public schools into green outdoor learning areas while supporting teachers, students becoming ongoing stewards. So they're taking care of the land where otherwise it'd be dirt. So if Gray would like to come on and chat for a minute to tell us about what you're doing.
You hear me okay?
No, not very well.
You know, unfortunately, Gray, you don't have a very good internet connection, so we can't hear you. So can you just share anything else about
Yeah, so basically when you do donate to our GoFundMe page, we so appreciate it. We want to give that money back. And this week with the two people who we're helping them with their cancer survival, and we're going to help them better themselves. We also will give you bonuses. If you donate $44, we're going to mention you on the air. $77, you'll get tickets to New Living Expo in October. And if it's a $100 pledge, we're going to offer you a 1-hour life coach session with Scott Katamas's people. Or if it's $200 donation, then we're going to give them a whole session with just Scott. And if anybody's donated $77 or more, would you please email me? We do put it on our GoFundMe page, but a lot of people haven't done that. So I'm just put it out there. If you email ken@newlivingexpo.com, we'll get you on the list for either a private session or some tickets for the expo. Beyond that, just want to say a shout out to my family. My daughter's up in Bozeman and my brother's somewhere in America. Thank you for watching and keep watching. It's great. Thank you.
And now we're going to share a little bit more about our second beneficiary, Blaine Lyon, who is an amazing being. He's an extremely talented musician and has always been actually one of my favorite musicians. We invited him to Harmony Festival, which I produced for 33 years, many, many times, and he was very popular. He plays extremely soulful and heart-opening music, but he's been battling cancer for the last 3 years. And unfortunately, I'm sad to share that it has really taken over his vocal cords, and he's going to have surgery to remove his vocal cords. So this is really tragic, and he needs our funds and our support and our love to continue to hang in there and make it. He's happy to have this cancer removed, but actually it's going to be very challenging for him as well, obviously. So we'd love your donations and support to help Blaine. We're going to play some of his music later. And that was a picture of him with his child and a picture of him. And one of his deep soul sisters and soul family is Tina Malia. So we're going to invite her back on now to do a song and speak a little bit more about Blaine and Blaine's journey. Thank you, Tina.
Deborah. Well, I just want to say thank you everyone so much for donating tonight to not only Blaine, also Mariella. I, have also had Mariella's paintings in my house since I was a teenager. So it feels like such an honor to be here with you and support you. Blaine, also one of my oldest friends for over 20 years. And like you said, just an incredible musician, so much heart, so much soul. I feel like I've learned so many of my deepest spiritual values from Blaine, and he would never even consider himself, a spiritual person, but he really knows about what real respect is, what real honoring is. He's been just a light also just in the social activism community for a very long time. And as Deborah mentioned, he's been very sick with cancer now for going on, 3 years. I was just texting with him just now. He's unable to even come on and watch tonight because he's had a really hard day with chemo. So he has a wonderful young son named Kai and his partner Lexi, and they could definitely use some support. Of course, not only the pandemic, but even before then, he's been unable to work now for a few years because he, like myself and many of us, make a living as artists, as musicians. And so as Deborah mentioned, he hasn't even been able to speak now for over 2 years, let alone sing. So he loves this community so much. I mean, he really, really, really loves this community. And this is what is keeping him going, is all of us and all of our love and knowing that we're here talking about him and playing his music, and it's really keeping him going. So please, yes, put an extra $1 or $10 or $100 in there for our dear community members. And I just want to send you love, Mariella, and just say it's so wonderful. I can see you in my little screen, and just thank you for everything that you've given to our community for so many years. And yeah. Okay, I'm gonna sing now. So this is a song I wrote, and it's called Lionheart. So dedicated to my dear brother, Blaine Lyon.
Call me gently from the embers, larks waking up when the night is done. I saw you walking through stones and bramble, radiant eyes bright like a bursting sun. Tell your secrets to the forest, all the weight of the world, you can lay it down. She will wrap you, she will hold you, lift you up in her roots till you're breaking ground. Every road, every compass, find the way of the heart. It is tried and true. We are born of sea and branches. We were made in the light of the harvest moon. So put your hands in to the water. You are loved with the power of 1,000 tides. I am just my mother's daughter, strong as thunder, wild as a jasmine vine. Where the wind sings to the valley, where the rain comes drifting from the stars, I'll be dancing in the moonrise. I'll be thinking of your lion heart.
Thank you. Just like to ask everyone to, in this moment, as we look at Mariella, maximum grace for Mariella. Maximum grace for Mariella. Maximum grace for Mariella. And tuning in to Blaine Lyon, maximum grace for Blaine. Maximum grace for Blaine. Maximum grace for Blaine. Thank you again, Malia, for being with us again. It's such a joy to have you with us. Thank you so much. We're now going to meet Jay Mayer, who has been really the reason she was able to continue. It started off simply, it has grown and grown and grown, and Jay's support has really allowed this to continue. He's also been incredibly supportive of so many other things, including Love Coach Academy, which supports us to provide a lot of services to a lot of people. So before we hear from Jay, we're going to just briefly, I'm going to go to a little short video that'll tell you a little bit more about Jay and Light Touch. This pandemic is a crisis unlike any of us have faced before. The loss of work and economic uncertainty, along with social distancing, ongoing health concerns. This is all putting too much pressure on couples and families. Fortunately, there are people like Jay Mayer who is making a difference. His vision for light touch tools and techniques provide immediate support for individuals, couples, and families. Combining loving touch with affirmations, our great global tribe is going from surviving to thriving. Miracles are occurring. So there he is. This is our friend, Jay Mayer. And Jay, it's time for you to share a little bit and to give us your wisdom jewel.
Well, my wisdom jewel for tonight is gratitude, first of all, and thankful to Scott and all the great work that he's done. Such a good example for all of us, and Deborah for putting all this together, and so many other people that are working behind the scenes. So this is the beginning of something really great. I can feel it. And I wanted to talk about ancestors, because our ancestors, when we bless our ancestors, it's more than just a grandfather or the great-grandparents going back another generation or two. We can bless back to the beginning of time. You just keep going deeper and deeper and further back. And, I discovered the system called Light Touch, which uses the end neurons, create this powerful, subtle sensation that the indwelling spirit recognizes. And so when you bless your ancestors with light touch blessings, it sends out a signal, really way back to the beginning of time, blessing and forgiving our ancestors and all of our DNA relatives. So it's interesting because Andrew Harvey was talking about the blissful sensation that the universe that is the nature of the universe and creation is bliss. And I consider light touch part of the blissful sensations. And it's very, very powerful and beneficial. And we're working together now with Love Coach Academy and Light Touch to create opportunities for people to accelerate their evolution right now here on Earth. And Light Touch is a big part of that, and Love Coach Academy. So I'm very excited to be here, and there's great things happening. And, you know, light-touch.me is a good place to start. And I encourage people, we all need to talk. And Scott is the master of empathy. And please give us a call, and we're here for you to bring about peace on earth. So the last thing I wanted to say is, you know, we've heard change yourself and you change the world. And by blessing our ancestors, we actually, when we bless our past, we're actually blessing our future. You know, all these blessings, you know, it changes everything. So thank you.
Thank you, Jay, and for your generosity and your hospitality with enjoying our Saturday nights. We really appreciate having you part of our team now. And our next featured speaker and performer is somebody very famous that you guys, if you're familiar with America's Got Talent, he actually won season 2 of that back in 2007. And he is amazing. He's here with us tonight as a video performance because he wasn't able to do live. He was here several weeks ago. And he's got a unique brand of entertainment that combines singing and comedy. And he's got a special little puppet that he joins in with. At age 42, he was an entertainer, landing him on the Forbes list of top earning comics behind Jerry Seinfeld and Kevin Hart. His brilliance earned him the multi-million-dollar deal with the Mirage Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, where his award-winning show, Terry Factor, the voice of entertainment, has been running since 2009. And if Scott would play his little video, we'll have a nice entertainment.
And my friend Julius is going to be helping me with this. So, this is Julius. I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living. I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. I go to the movie and I go downtown. Somebody keep telling me.
Oh, look who's here.
This is Winston the Impersonated Turtle. If you saw me on America's Got Talent, can I tell him? Yeah. I won America's Got Talent. You did, wow. Yeah. And by the way, he won America's Got Talent. I couldn't have done it. He did his impression of Roy Orbison. Crying over you. So that's his, but that's what we did to win it. But the very first song we ever sang together, I think, is very incredibly appropriate for tonight. Can I tell him what it is? Yeah. It's, well, I do my impression of I hold Kermit the Frog here. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, What a wonderful world. Okay, Terry, you sing like Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong? Yeah, okay. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, bright blessed day, dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. There ain't much more than I'll never know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself, you finish. What a wonderful world.
Thank you, Terry. That was a fantastic performance. And if you want to see him live, we have to go to Las Vegas, probably when everything opens up. So look forward to that. Take it away, Scott.
Yeah, so that video was done a few weeks ago when we were honoring Danyan Brinkley. So that's why you saw some shots of Danyan and some of our guests that were on that particular show. And it is a wonderful world. And it's also a painful world at times. We wanted to acknowledge again what happened this week. And of course, we've mentioned it a couple times, but we thought it would be important to bring on somebody to really speak to it, who is a person of color. And so we reached out to Van Jones. He's very, very busy, but we do have a video clip, actually when he was on Conan O'Brien a few nights ago. And so we're gonna now show you that clip.
Why you've seen this outpouring. At the same time, through our tears, we, I think, might start to notice that the fear that nobody cares about us, all the white people, don't understand, may not be as well founded as we think. Because there's 20, 30, 40, 50 million white people who saw that video, who are also shocked and horrified, and are now saying, hey, I might be late to the party here, but what can I do? Now, that is the positive. Out of a breakdown, you can't have a breakthrough. And there is a positive side of this that nobody's defending. I mean, you're not seeing, people may argue about the disturbances, which we can talk about, but nobody is defending what this officer did. And it does create some small bit of hope that's starting to rise up in me that we could have at least a better conversation. Look, you're never going to get rid of police brutality, just because you'll never get rid of bad schools or bad restaurants. I mean, you're always going to have human beings that just do bad stuff. But you can create an environment where when it happens, the response is effective enough that other people don't want to go down that same bad road. You can close down restaurants that are not meeting the sanitation requirement. You can fire a teacher. You can do certain things. So you're never going to get rid of racism. You're never going to get rid of police brutality. But you can have a better system so that you don't have lawlessness in law enforcement then leading to lawlessness on the street.
Thank you, Van, for being such a bright light and a messenger for so many years. I mean, he really said it there, and he's doing his work big time. We are going to have his organization on next week, hopefully Dream Corps, which he's had for, I think, 15, 20 years, which is actually what he's talking about, working in Oakland and working with people that need the help and supporting them to get careers, to get their healing, and to come up and be productive. So he really has solutions, and you know him from CNN and all the other work he's done. So we really thank Van, and glad we got to have his message here tonight. And so now we have one more wisdom jewel from a very special woman. She has been with us from the very beginning. We did our first Saturday Night Live for the Global Peace Tribe in connection with the mass meditation, where there was 5 million people from all over the world meditating together. Celestine Starr is a spiritual guide. She's an oracle. She's a healer. She's a transmitter of the galactics. And she's a very dear soul sister. So I present now Celestine Starr to give us a wisdom jewel.
Thank you, Deborah and Scott, and to all who are here. Just want to take a breath with all of you. And I want to feel out to each one of you and thank you for your presence here tonight. You are the radiant diamonds in a field of earth. Each one of you who have stepped forward to be with us tonight, you are the pebbles in the rivers that radiate out into the world your pure light, your love, your wisdom. And so I want to honor all of you tonight, all the speakers, each one, because although you are around the world, we are united in our hearts to help elevate the consciousness, to be present within ourselves. We continue to polish the mirror so that we can be in preparation for times like this. Many of us have been waiting for 40 years. We've been watching as the building of these energies have come to a place now where we must take a stand within our own conviction of who we are in our lives. And the winds of change are here. And the opportunity is here to make changes on a global level. As I gazed upon the news and I saw that in Spain and Belgium and France and all over, everyone gathered. They are gathering. They have not stopped gathering because the voice of the world is now being heard. And those who are in those places of leadership, although they've been placed there and perhaps their consciousness is not at the level that we need right now to take humanity forward, they are listening. And so honoring those who stepped to the front lines, and I went to the front lines in San Francisco, and believe me, it was intense. And honoring yourself, just to envision that we are through this. And what is the vision? What do we need? We need you to visualize that it is done, that everyone moves forward, that it is in ease without violence. And I just want to sing into this for one moment. Uranama namureya narayana. And just feeling the energy of my heart to your heart and all of our hearts together. Praise in the one, praise in the oneness, the unified consciousness of oneness. May this earth blossom as our hearts crack open with pain into the love. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you so much, Celestine. I did an hour-long interview with Celestine and another extraordinary woman named Wisdom, both people of color. And if you want to go back and watch that interview, you can find it in the Love Coach Academy archive. Just go to Love Coach Academy page, and that's where you can find archives. And next week, we're going to continue our conversation on Friday night with other people of color. And of course, next Saturday's show, June 13th, is going to be dedicated to voices. And I want to thank people. The donations are coming in. So I just want to acknowledge Hyla Cass, an old friend, that wonderful person, Anonymous. Anonymous and Jay Mayer are the people that have been providing the most consistent support. And Jay did it again. Thank you so much, Jay. Just going to put the spotlight on you for a moment. Thank you so much for your donation that you just made. Rebecca, Betty, Miriam, Yamini, Barbara Lovejoy, Deanne, Maxine, Michael, Melissa, Denise. Thank you all so very, very much for your donations. And I'm going to turn it over to Ken to introduce something very special that we want to show tonight.
Thank you, Scott. And I just want to remind everybody that when we saw Marianne, I just want to mention that she'll be at the expo speaking on 10/10/2020 if all things go well. And the next, we have Blaine Lyon, who had a special video that was created for us, I think a couple of years ago, or I don't know. We're featuring it tonight, so we're going to show Blaine Lyon's video, so we get a little taste of who this man was before he kind of got his throat kind of knocked off too. So let's hear it.
This is a song for anyone who wants to come home and find forgiveness and who wants to be free. Soul. And it's calling you. There is a way. There is a way. There is a way back through your mistakes. Not too late. Oh, it's calling you home. Are you ready to go? Oh, you know, oh, you know, oh, you know that you want to come home and we want to be with you. Beyond just a day, there'll come a day. Come a day, there'll come a day for all you've been open and the cell doors will open. You're flying away. Beyond just a day. Oh, you know, oh, you know, you know. That you want to come home and we want to be with you. Beyond just a day. Perhaps in the final moments, our killers are our liberators. After so many years, wondering if you'd ever know your father. Traveling through the night and waiting on tomorrow. Now the eternal tomorrow has come. And you're free. And you're free. Forever free, forever free. Oh, forever free.
We love you, Blaine. And now you can see what we mean about what a special musician and what a special being he was. You can feel his heart and his love and the depth of his creativity. And thank you for all your donations for Blaine and Mariella. Thank you so much. And now we're going to roll into some additional music with Daniel Ballone. Daniel?
Thank you so much, Deborah. I would like to share this song, this mantra, and what it represents to me. It's calling to aspects of consciousness that live within each human being as a potential. And one has to do with innocence and the playfulness. During these difficult times and all the uncertainty that we are going through, I saw a couple of videos of kids responding to all this that really touched my heart because they make it so simple. They express it so beautifully. And there's a part within us that is exactly like that. During these times, there are little things here and there that really mean a lot to us. And to bring that innocence back, to bring that purity back into our lives, is what is bringing us together now. That's what's happening, at least in my neighborhood. I go out and I start to connect with everyone with a little grin, with eye connection. There's some interaction that is more like childlike happening in my surroundings. And the other aspect that is invoking this mantra has to do with recovering our values. What is true morals according to our heart, not according to anything else? What is true to me in my heart? What do I believe in? What do I stand for? I want to be an example. I want to be a leader that I would follow. That means a lot to me in the first place. So cultivating these two aspects of consciousness, of innocence and true morality, I would like to share this Maha Mantra for Krishna and Rama.
Oh, thank you so much, Daniel. I love that we honor all races, faiths, cultures. I'm loving the diversity of our show. Just want to remind people that you can find Daniel on Spotify. You can also go to Daniel Bellone, that's BELLONE.com. Mantra meets mainstream. Absolutely. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. We're getting close to the end of our show for tonight. We've got one wisdom rule left and then a few announcements. But just to remind people that we do have our community connection time. And so we'll have a few of you sharing for a minute, an inspiration, something that you want to share. But if you want to come on board, we still have over 200 people in our webinar room. You need to send me a chat message saying that you want to be coming on to as panelists and what you want to share, and that you'll keep it to a minute. And then after our community connection time, we're going to end the show, but we're going to play again this video from Andrew Harvey that I filmed with him just this afternoon. And if you didn't see it at the beginning of the show, please stay and watch it. I know it's going to be getting late, but it's like listening to the voice of God. Really, he's so wise, and he gives 7 practical tools for how to manage ourselves during this time. So I really want to encourage you to watch that video. Stay with us for a while. All right, thank you so much. Again, honestly, when the protests and everything happened, I kind of went through who we had on the show before that we want to have on again, and I immediately thought of Maika. Thank you so much for coming to be with us. And I'm very eager to hear, thank you for staying up late to be with us. And I'm eager to hear what you want to share with us tonight.
Thank you so much again for allowing me to be on the show. It is an honor, but we must partake in our local change before considering the world, not excluding them, but building a massive change to affect the world. That's how we should think locally while considering the world. For example, there's an organization here called Unite Our Grounds that I have the privilege of being the overseer, or the visionary rather, for the Peaceful Walk movement that is happening here in Fort Wayne on June the 16th on South Clinton and East Main Street. And we're just going to be walking, no signs, no talking, just walking. And the tires all white. And so I believe in that vision. The vision for that is just to bring everybody together, understand that we should be on one accord. After all of this happened, after the pandemic passed over, we are one body, we are one people, and we have to come together as such. And so I believe that that vision, when it comes to pass on that day, that it will bring such unity to the body, to us as people. So yeah, just really, thinking locally, affecting our local people. And while doing that, also affecting the world. There was something that Andrew Harvey said, I believe at the beginning, of this, and he said, when you pay attention to those rising, you will leave with a rugged, noble hope. And that is so true. When you have that feeling of hope, you will continue to strive. You will continue to go forth. And I really thank God for the vision that you have over this, Mr. Scott. And your vision for this is extraordinary. And I pray that you keep on going in every area of your life where you believe that you can make that effect. I pray that whatever hope pushes you from the rising people that are rising up to affect the world, I pray that they give you hope. And you have definitely given me hope during this time. So yeah.
God bless you. Thank you so much. And I really like kind of closing the official part of the show with our youngest speaker, because you are the next generation. We started the show with Andrew Harvey, who probably was our oldest speaker at 68, and you're our youngest. And there it is, multiple generations coming together. Thank you so much, Monique, and we hope you'll come back to our show again sometime.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to follow Unite Our Grounds, the movement that I'm doing here in Fort Wayne, it's all on social media, on Instagram and on Facebook, Unite Our Ground.
And please put it in the chat box, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I want to quickly just remind people, we heard from Celestine Starr a few minutes ago. And Celestine does amazing work. She is truly a metaphysical goddess. And so if you want to reach out and get any support from her or connect with her, you can reach her at goldenlifewisdom@gmail.com, or just go to goldenlifewisdom.com. So thank you again, Celestine, for being with us. Well, another show has come and gone, and so inspiring. It's amazing. We work hard. I got to tell you, we do a lot to make these shows happen. And always at the end of the show, it's like, oh my God, so incredibly worthwhile. I love our community. And I want to again thank you, all of our donors to the GoFundMe campaign. Thank you to Jay Mayer. I want to thank our upcoming sponsors and people that have sponsored this in the past. And please spread the word. Let people know about this show. And also, if any of you are wanting support, relationship support, come to Love Coach Academy every day at 9 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the evening Pacific time. All of our different love coaches have put together all these amazing shows. Self-love, how to manage triggers, how to work with people that are in recovery or addiction issues. These are all different shows. You can find the whole menu by going to lovecoachacademy.com. I'll be doing tomorrow morning. I always do a Secret Sunday show at 9 o'clock in the morning. So if you want, you can join me for that. I want to turn it over to one of the hardest working people. You know, when I was talking to our meditation about some of us are taking this time to do a timeout, slow down. Not Deborah. Deborah has been tireless. So Deborah, thank you so much. I love you. I admire you. I respect you. I've known you for 30 years, and I'm so grateful to be co-creating this show with you.
Oh, it's been amazing partnership with Scott. We just kind of come to the table and make it happen. It's pretty amazing and very divinely inspired. And want to thank you again for all your donations. That really helps us move the show forward and also support our community. And thanks again for Jay. And thanks to the presenters that came on. Marianne Williamson for coming on again, Lynn Twist, Andrew for giving us that beautiful video that you're going to be able to see again, and all the musicians. So that's, you know, it takes a village. That's how it works. And we're all in here to really transform to this next level. And by us coming together and supporting each other, we're really raising that consciousness to move forward to that. So thank you so much. Because of your donations and your support and the sponsorship support, we are going to go through June. As we've been mentioning, next week is going to be Let the Voices Be Heard. And we might have some really special guests show up that we're working on. So if you've joined on Zoom, you will get the email from us that will tell you who's going to be coming on. So watch for that, and we'll get you the replay on Monday. And then June 20th, again, we're going to be massively partnering with a lot of people that are collaborating now. Unity Week, which is a massive worldwide organization that is connecting all these organizations that are on the ground, helping everything to move forward. With Unify, we connect with them, and with Global Days for Unity, which happens every third weekend of the month. And also we're going to support Earth Dance International, that's doing a broadcast June 21st, and also Global Coherence Pulse. So we have a lot coming up. So again, from my heart, thank you so much. Sending you so much love, and please stay on for the community connections. And I pass it over to Ken.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you, Scott, and thanks everyone for joining in this wonderful evening again. We just keep going on, and I think it just it's like resurrecting the expo every weekend. So not as much work, but definitely a lot of acknowledgments, and we really all appreciate that, and thank you for your support. Remember, the expo is still happening in October, 10/10/2020. Well, thank you, Scott. And remember to get out and vote, because that's what makes a difference. And we hear it all the time. So just reinforce with everybody you know. Thank you for enjoying, and stick around for Community Connections.
Right. You know, it doesn't look like that many people are asking to speak. I'm going to take one more look, but I haven't actually received any requests for people to speak tonight. I did notice Christy Michaels. I don't know if you want to talk about the candlelight vigil. And I see Fantuzzi is here. You know what, Fantuzzi? We got to have a little more Fantuzzi. Let's go there. Hey, brother, you're up. But you got to unmute yourself.
I understand that everybody wants to be out and march. And some of us can't for whatever reason. So I feel that it's super important to not feel bad about not being able to come out there and help out, because there's 1,000,001 ways to help out. There's lots of people doing lots of amazing, very important work with getting people out of jail that have been put in jail, feeding people with just the infrastructure, you know, making phone calls, organizing. You could offer your services, and remember that it takes all of us. It takes a village, so we can do this. Each one help one, each one teach one. You will find a way, and you can help out. Even if you want to stay at home, you could help promote it. There's so many ways to do it. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your hard work. Deborah G, Ken, Scott, and entire family. You're doing incredible, and I love you.
Thank you, Fantuzzi. We love you too. And remember, it's not just Tuesdays, it's Fan Tuesdays. So definitely join us on Tuesday nights, 7:30 p.m., where beloved brother Fantuzzi, he shares music, poetry, wisdom, and he also has amazing people that come on and play with him. Last week we had Chai Levi playing with you, and some amazing people have come and played with you. So that's really beautiful. All right, we do have now some people who have asked to come and speak for a minute, asking you to keep it to a minute. We're going to start with one of our dearest friends, Christy Michaels. Christy, if you can unmute yourself. There you are.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Scott and Deborah. Of course, my heart is just so touched, and Celestine, everybody was just fantastic. I just want to bring everybody's attention to, if you want to gather, we're going to have a prayer vigil at Unity in Marin on Tuesday at 7 p.m. It's a candlelight vigil, and we'll be outside and whatnot. So we're going to meet at the front of the Unity Church. And that is the day that is the funeral in Houston. So that's why we want to really honor it with a prayer vigil. And then the other thing I would love everyone to please know, and this might be something Deborah and Scott to consider, is to feature next time or in sometime over the June 20th is the Poor People's Campaign.org or .com. You can go to that and sign up. It's going to be the largest online platform ever of poor people making their demands and bringing to light the solutions that need to be, but we need to hear the extent of the problem, because I think what the marching is showing is that the problem is way bigger than people have imagined. And it's really important to learn more and dive deeper with the groups that are doing solution-based things. So I recommend that Poor People's Campaign. You can just Google it and sign up to be online. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you. And joining us, first time she's shared on Saturday Night Live, I want to welcome Alora.
Well, hello. Thank you for welcoming me. I've been through the whole show tonight, and it's very wonderful. So what I want to speak to is how we can bring beauty to the demonstration so that the demonstrations become inspiring, and how we can bring dance into the demonstrations so that people can actually find unity in them. When we see demonstrations, people are usually wearing black and they're carrying ugly sticks, and there's no sense of beauty or grace in the experience. The other night, I put on John Legend and Common's video singing the song Glory from the music Selma, and the words to it are so powerful. And I danced in white in my home and videoed it through Facebook Live to say, let's all do this. I would love everybody to dress in white, not because it has anything to do with the white race, because we aren't white, we're pink, but white itself is a spiritual color, and it's so rare to see people in all white that if we do that, we will all of a sudden have a harmony together visually. And if people would record themselves dancing in white to that song and all send it into a common terminal, me or somebody, Deborah's the one probably, we could make one of those films where it just goes from person to person to person all over the planet, singing those, you know, dancing to those lyrics. And I think that would be a very powerful way to inspire people, make it fun, and actually unity. You see, we're trying to end racism, but you can't legislate the end of racism. You can't make it stop from the outside. You can get people to stop taking racist actions, but you can't stop the racist hate. That stops when people do something that creates unity, whether that's sing or dance or go to war or build a barn or, you know, be in an orchestra. It's physical. That's how we get beyond the divisions and experience those distinctions as valuable but not separating. So I want to say that, and I also want to say that I think the biggest issue under this whole thing is the issue of economics, and that really it is about creating a new economic system fundamentally that's going to change the poverty and the racism.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing from your heart and your truth. Thank you for dancing in your own home and adding your wonderful energy. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's hear from Jim Seymour. Thank you for coming on board, Jim.
Thank you, Scott. This is only my second week tuning in with your group, with your beautiful tribe. It's such a blessing to see such a big spectrum of different people here. Last week, there was Deepak Chopra and Carolyn Mace. Tonight was Marianne and all these incredible musicians. I'm just so inspired by all your work, Scott and Deborah. You guys have been doing it for a long time, and it's time that you guys were highlighted and supported. And so we gave some money tonight for Mariella. I was very touched by her story. You know, I'll be very brief. Don't worry, I won't go over. I was very fortunate to grow up in a part of LA where down on the end of my street was a home for battered teens, troubled teens. And I became best friends with an African-American boy. And so we used to hang out. And ironically, the biggest bully on the block was a white kid who used to beat me up. And my black friend would defend me. And I had Asian friends and Hispanic friends growing up down there in the San Fernando Valley in the 60s and 70s. So I never knew what racism was. And I was very blessed to go to India in 2003 and study there and live there. And the first teaching that blew me away was that we're not these bodies. We're eternal sparks of consciousness. We are eternal spirit souls. And we're part and parcel of the supreme spirit soul. And we're meant to be blissful. It's our natural birthright is to be filled with bliss. And this was mentioned tonight. And I was very touched by everyone. So I pray that this consciousness that the platform of unity, the platform of equality is when we recognize each other as not these flesh vehicles, not these earth suits, but the spark of consciousness within, the living force within these bodies. And when we realize that, I think that's going to boost us into that ascension, what we're all talking about. So Scott, thank you so much. And Tuzi and Ken, you guys, you're awesome. And we're going to be tuning in and supporting you as much as we can.
Thank you so much. And you know what, Jim? I'm also a Valley boy. I was born and raised in Granada Hills.
No way.
We're just a couple of Valley boys.
Right on, brother. I love you, man.
I love you too. Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you.
I grew up too, also in the Valley in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, wow. Here we are all back. You know, it really is kind of like that. Andrew Harvey and I were talking about that today, that, you know, many of us, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, we're all coming together at this time. And I really do believe that this is the time we've all been preparing for. This is it. This is the big one. So it's a blessing to all be together, all these beautiful butterfly cells finding each other. All right, we're going to hear from Leilani and then from Deborah. You're up, Leilani.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much again for this beautiful show and beautiful evening.
It's really kept me going throughout this whole pandemic, and I love you all, and it's beautiful to be together in this platform. And thank you so much, everybody. Deborah, Scott, everybody. You're so amazing. Fantuzzi, and my dear friends, Mariella, I wanted to devote this song to you and remind everybody to pray to the angels, to your angels, and Blaine, and all the suffering that's happening on the planet. And just remind everybody to pray to their angels to help them through this time and to bring more love and light into their lives and bliss. And here's my little song that I finished throughout this pandemic. Hey, great spirit, listen to our prayers and heal all suffering. Hey, great spirit, listen to our prayers and heal all suffering. Calling in the angels of love and light, gonna heal one another, gonna feel all right. Rise into the highest vibes of love and light. Loving one another, everybody, all right. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks for letting me come on and share and be a part of it.
Thank you, Leilani. That was very, very sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, before I introduce Deborah Haviland, I just want to remind everybody that Love Coach Academy provides these remarkable workshops and online webinars every day, 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Really, really proud of all of our love coaches that are coming together and doing these different shows. And it's all free. I really want to thank Jay Mayer, whose support has really helped us to get out there and reach even more people. And so check it out. Go and take a look at all the different programs we're offering. It's all free. We've got 23 people in my mentorship program. And even though I'm mentoring these coaches, some of them are therapists who've been doing this work for 15 years or more. So it's a remarkable group of people. One of the people that's been with us for quite a while is our next speaker, Deborah Haviland.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you. Yes, for me, I've dedicated my life to doing this work and came in knowing this was my work. I also love what Alora said about bringing our beauty, our expression of the divine through dance and music and wearing all of our colors. White for sure speaks it because it is weird. We are not really white. We're some kind of tan, pink or whatever, or brown or red or whatever. But anyway, I just wanted to mention, for me, everything that was said tonight was so perfect. Marianne spoke so much grounded wisdom, and just our Dan Jones and everything that was said, and my beloved friend Fantuzzi, love you so much, everything that you share. And I was doing Sufi healings today, and we work with water and praying over the water and then drinking the water and bathing in the water and knowing that we are sacred and divine and all the unity. That's what I care about the most is unity. And I'm going to close by reading a Rumi poem, The Alchemy of Love. You come to us from another world, from beyond the stars and void of space, transcendent, pure, of unimaginable beauty, bringing with you the essence of love. You transform all who are touched by you. Mundane concerns, troubles, and sorrows dissolve in your presence, bringing joy to ruler and ruled, to peasant and king. You bewilder us with your grace. All evils transform into goodness. You are the master alchemist. You light the fire of love in earth and sky, in heart and soul of every being. Through your loving, through your loving existence and non-existent merge. All opposites unite. All that is profane becomes sacred again. May we call the divine in and let the divine guide our lives in everything. Namaste.
Namaste. Now must go.
Now must go. And it's late here, let me tell you.
Yeah, I know. You're in Florida. Thank you, Deborah. Well, the other Deborah, Deborah Havlin, do you want to share any last thoughts before we put on the Andrew Harvey video?
Deborah Juicy.
Deborah Juicy.
Just that it's so great to have you all come on and share your love and your wisdom, because, you know, we're all family. We've known each other, at least the people that come on here for a long time, except for Jim. I don't know you, but I should. That was beautiful what you shared. So just appreciating you all, appreciating your support. And this is an amazing thing. And this is how we move it all forward, is coming together and sharing this positive love and connection and letting it spread out. So for some reason, Scott and I just feel passionately compelled to bring this forward, and so great to have you participating and joining in. So just love you all and just sharing so much love.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. The donations are still coming in, so I do want to thank Anonymous and Anonymous and Anonymous and Anonymous, and also want to thank Karen Solomon. Thank you, everybody, for those donations coming in. You know, it's remarkable. 161 people are still in our webinar room here on Zoom. Probably hundreds still watching on Facebook. And so please settle in, because I'm going to play this video. It's 21 minutes, and it's Andrew Harvey absolutely saying what we need to do. He gives 7 specific tools, and they are remarkable, and they're so, honestly, as I was listening to him today, I was just getting chills. I felt like just blessed to be receiving the transmission from such a master soul. If you don't know who Andrew Harvey is, he's an extraordinary man. He's written over 40 books. He's collaborated with people like the Dalai Lama. He has a very wide range, scholarly understanding of many faiths, many religions. He speaks multiple languages. He's a brilliant, brilliant man. And this is it. This is like 21 minutes of just pure, extraordinary wisdom. Here's Andrew Harvey.
I would like to share with you 7 tender suggestions as to how to live this absolutely insane and extraordinary period that we found ourselves in. A period in which it is quite obvious something is dying in horror and pain and agony, and something amazing, potentially, if we really work with it, is being born. It's a very strange time, as I'm sure all of you are experiencing, because it's a time in which, on the one hand, the whole world is boiling in a whole concatenation of crises. And those crises are all urgent, and together they pose a threat to the whole future of humanity, and potentially here in America, the whole future of democracy. And on the other hand, we're in lockdown still. What's the meaning of this? I believe the meaning of this is that the mother is giving us time, you and I, to regroup at the deepest possible level so as to become calm and joyful and passionate and compassionate and strong enough to really, when this cloud of the coronavirus starts to dissipate, step up and serve her in sacred activism with the fullness of all we are. So how do we work with this strange blessing? So here are my suggestions. The first suggestion, and this is quite a strong suggestion from your old uncle, is that you stay safe. The coronavirus has not been mastered. Happy talk from that demented psychopath in the White House will not do it. I'm in contact with the leading epidemiologists of the world, and they all tell me that there are many, many, many more cases than are being reported, and that there almost certainly will be a major surge again in the fall, and that we're headed for a very dramatic and dark winter. I'm not saying that to frighten you. I'm saying that to make sure that you stay safe, because you are going to be needed. We're going into a long, bitter, brutal, amazing, frightening, extraordinary struggle for the future of the planet. And it's going to need the seekers safe and whole and well. So that's my first suggestion. Don't believe any of the happy talk about the virus. Be aware that this is a virus that could very well mutate. Be aware that there are other viruses out there. There are 1,400 coronaviruses carried by the bats, and there are other potential pandemics. Don't panic. Keep safe. My second tender suggestion is to make sure that although you are in lockdown, that you do what I call small acts of mercy, small acts of deep compassion. You know that there are people starving. You know that there are homeless on those streets who are so terrified of going to shelters because they're petri dishes for this virus. You know that there are friends of yours who are going through suicidal depression because they're waking up to the extremity of the situation that we're in. Make sure that you help in whatever way is appropriate for you. Because by helping in that way, it may seem small, it may seem, in a sense, pointless. It isn't. It is a way that you are building the cells of a new sacred activist body within yourself, which will be ready when the time comes. You will be practicing compassion, practicing mercy, practicing help, and do so with joy and gratitude that you can, and something amazing will start growing in you. My third suggestion is that you deepen passionately and focusedly your spiritual practice. One thing I've noticed, and Scott and I were having a wonderful conversation before I began to give this message, is that this is a time in which those who have for years and years done serious practice are doing well despite everything that's exploding out there. Because through the grace of the beloved and through the grace of the efforts that we've made out of love for the beloved, we're being fed calm. We're being fed joy. We're being fed radical insight into the nature of this crisis. And that is keeping us steady. It isn't that we don't have days of desolation. It isn't that we don't have days of exhaustion. It isn't that we don't have moments of extreme despair and hopelessness, but that we know that that isn't the real part of ourselves, the truth of ourselves, because we've tasted and lived that truth. So if that hasn't been flashed out in the core of your heart, that deathless certainty of your own deathless truth, practice, 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 practice. Because I know that there is an immense wave of grace coming to us from the core of God to give us that next level of our realization, to equip us for the work of birthing the birth in the middle of the death ahead. And that this shutdown is the time in which, if we practice with deepest devotion and passion, we will make the most astounding progress This is happening to me. I have made more inner progress in these last 2 months than I've made in the last 10 years, because I've known that the time is now. And in turning to the beloved, I found that the beloved has given me absolutely extraordinary radiance of peace and of joy and of focus. And I'm not special. This is what the beloved's up to with anyone who turns up to the beloved and asks, through turning up in the relationship, through practice. So that's the third. I also, the fourth suggestion is, I found it absolutely essential to what I call stay aware. Look, terrible things are coming down. I don't have to enumerate them. They're exploding on your television screens. You know them. But also amazing things are appearing. So what we're being asked to do is to stay aware of this astounding alchemical process that we're now all in which we're being devastated and redeemed, slaughtered and reborn at the same time. And what that means for all of us is that we need to, through practice and through prayer, create a container in which we can simultaneously hold two previously unimaginable opposites without growing crazy. On the one hand, the possibility of extinction, which is a real possibility, the possibility of the birth of a monstrous fascism in America, which is now we've seen, you know who announced the potential martial law. We know that that is possible. And on the other hand, we've seen the astounding courage of the doctors and the nurses and the postal workers and the grocery guys and girls who've been helping us. We've seen the astounding, beautiful, holy courage of millions of protesters who are risking their lives to stand up for justice. We've seen the most extraordinary, heroic testimony from great investigative journalists and fiery, brilliant people on television who are absolutely prepared to tell us the truth about what's going on. And we've heard really rousing, glorious messages from major teachers who know that this is the time of the birth. So what's needed for all of us is to build this container to be able to contain these opposites without veering to despair or veering to too floaty, magical thinking, staying stable, watching, really contemplating, but asking most of all, and I think this is the most important thing that I could say to you, asking for the grace from the beloved to develop what I call birth eyes. It's very easy to see all the different writhing, terrible, blood-soaked facts of the death. They're all there. They're all now nakedly visible. But what's really important for sacred activists and for all people who want to be of service to the future is to pray for the divine insight to be able to see where the birth is appearing. And it's appearing. It's appearing in all the acts of courage I've been talking about. It's appearing in the extraordinary visions that is appearing amongst generals, amongst business people, of the kind of world that we're going to have to create if we're going to be able to preserve the world. An immense tragedy has caused an immense urgency, and the immense urgency has engendered a new set of crystallized, pragmatic, very noble visions, which will need our total support. They're coming, they're here, and they're longing for you to recognize them, because when you recognize them, you will be filled with a rugged, noble hope. The fifth suggestion is a very important one I found. I'll tell you a story. About a week ago, I rang one of my greatest friends, who is one of the great environmentalists on the planet and who has been working in the trenches. for 40 years to try and wake people up to the really terrifying position that the climate's in. And most of the time, she is the feistiest, cheeriest person I know, and she makes Mother Courage look weak. She is a rock in my life. But it was a Sunday, and the usual slew of terrible news had come in, and she was utterly destroyed and utterly grieving and sobbing, and I had never, ever, ever seen her in such a terrible state. I asked her, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yes, of course I'm okay. It's very important to grieve." So when grief comes to you, when heartbreak reveals itself as a possibility in your heart, don't indulge in happy talk. Don't think that there's anything weird about heartbreak. Realize that heartbreak is the sign that you have a heart at all. It's like the Tin Man in Dorothy who says, "No, I know I have a heart because it's breaking." You're not heartbroken at the death of George Floyd. You're not heartbroken at the long litany of murders of young African-American men. If you're not heartbroken at the way in which America has consistently ignored its own most ferocious wound, you're not heartbroken at the absolute idiocy of the reaction to this. If you're not heartbroken at the tearing of the Constitution and the burning of the laws of this country, if you're not heartbroken at the insanity, the detailed and planned insanity of the dark forces that are now ruling us, you're not human. But if you're only heartbroken, and you're not using that heartbreak or letting that heartbreak guide you into a vaster compassion and a deeper, deeper focus on what you can do to bring in and sustain the structures that could end those injustices, you're not divine. So allow yourself time to grieve. Heartbreak is sacred. It won't kill you, it won't drive you mad, it will make you more human, kinder, more loving, more passionate about justice, and braver if you let it. It's a divine gift sent to ennoble you. So find time to grieve. The sixth suggestion, and I know all of you know this, but it's so sacred at this moment. I found this period to be both the most painful period, perhaps of my adult life, for all the obvious reasons, but also the most joyful period, because it's been a period in which I've reconnected with old friends, old lovers, old colleagues that I haven't seen for many years, and we've had the most electrifying, heartwarming, heart-inspiring conversations. It's as if in the middle of all of this tragic agony that we're living, the mother is joining us again in tribes, in networks of grace, as if she's forming out of the decay these new alignments that if we stay with them, if we realize the gift of what we've been given and truly cultivate at a much deeper level than we've ever done before, the sacred power of friendship, the sacred power that comes from loving our animals with a deeper love, then we will go out into the new world that will appear, and it'll be a bloody world, a difficult world, a brutal world. We'll go out flanked with people whose spirits will be supporting us and whose spirits we will be supporting for the great struggle to birth a new way of being and doing everything. Notice the brilliance of the mother's work in all of this. I just want to thank my cat, because these last 2 months have been a festival of rapture with my baby, Jade. She has to deal with me traveling so much, but I haven't been going anywhere. And for the first time in time we've been together, she's had me to herself and I've had her to myself. And she's been able to guide me into deeper and deeper celebration of life by her tenderness and by the bliss that we experience together, just lying silently in each other's arms. What a blessing. What a blessing this terrible time has been to those who've known that one of its secret purposes is to bring us together with those we love and those who love us, so as we can taste at a deeper level than we've ever tasted it before, just how essential real friendship at a soul level is, and just how much hope and courage it can provide us for the long, difficult work ahead. So I want to leave you with one last suggestion, which really encompasses them all. About 3 years ago, I sat down with my great friend Carolyn Baker, who's one of the greatest American mystical intellectuals. She's one of the most noble people I know, and she's been for 15 years fearlessly proclaiming that this moment would come. And she's been called, like I've been called, a Debbie Downer and a crazy person and a doom merchant. And we've known that this time was coming, and we've supported each other because we've known that all those people who called us pessimistic would be so grateful when the time came, because they'd see that we weren't defeated by what we knew, because we've been preparing for this, and we're strong, and we're happy, and we're here, and we're focused, and we're with you because we love you. And Carolyn and I decided that we were going to write a book just to piss off everybody who thought we were Debbie Downers, called Return to Joy. And it was the most joyful experience of my life, sitting with Carolyn, who knows absolutely everything about what's going on in the environment and why the million species on the edge of extinction, why the human race is in a state of funk when it needs to be activated. There's nothing she doesn't know about the dark. But she knows something which I know, and that is that the ultimate nature of reality is bliss. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, forgive me if I quote Sanskrit scriptures, but it's all there, baby. In the Taittiriya Upanishads, it says, from the great bliss, all things arise. In the great bliss, all things are sustained. And to the great bliss, all things return. That isn't poetry. That is the experience you have when you awaken. That is the experience that you have in an unforgettable and overwhelming way, which forever changes your life, when through the grace of the beloved, you are initiated into the ultimate truth of reality. I've had that experience, and I'm sure many of you have had that experience. But what that experience should lead us to do, especially at a time like this, is to cultivate daily joy, to really tune our whole being to that ultimate reality, not so that we deny the horror and tragedy of what's happening, because you don't need to turn away from that, but so that we can bring into the middle of the burning world presences lit up by the golden light of the joy that doesn't need anything, because it comes straight from the truth, straight from the source. So whatever makes you joyful, make a list of the 10 things that give you joy, and make sure that you turn to all 10 every single day, and fill your lives with that joy, and turn to the source of joy wherever you find it, and worship beauty as the sister of joy, whether it's in music or in the eyes of a friend or in the light shining in the summer in the core of a tree. Wherever it is, know that it is beauty itself kissing you. Know it is the joy, the ananda of the Godhead that's reaching out to you. And let that joy give you strength, give you courage, give you chutzpah, give you peace. And keep calm, carry on.
Wow. We still have 143 people in the webinar room, including Jim Seymour and that beautiful woman on your lap. Well, thank you everybody for watching and staying with us this late, for enjoying the brilliant Andrew Harvey. Wasn't that extraordinary? Feel so blessed.
Thank you, Scott.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Where are you in the world? Where are you located?
I'm up in Lake County, in a little place called Hidden Valley Lake,
Oh, yeah.
north of Calistoga.
Yeah. I have family on Cobb Mountain.